Hello and welcome to Uncle Online Academy. In today's lesson, we want to talk about adaptation in aquatic organisms. Adaptation in aquatic organisms. In the previous lesson, we talked about the concept of adaptation. We talked about the meaning of adaptation, and we also talked about adaptation in terrestrial organisms. That is how organisms that live on land survive. In today's lesson, we want to look at adaptation in aquatic organisms. That is how organisms that live in water survive in the water environment. You might be asking yourself, how do fish or other organisms that live inside water obtain their oxygen, since every organism needs oxygen to survive, and we know that oxygen exists in air, but inside water these organisms cannot breathe air. We don't see air in water, so you may be asking yourself, how do they survive living inside the water without air? So we have issue of oxygen issue in water. Then we also know that in some water bodies like ocean, the salt concentration is just too high that most organisms cannot survive the salt content in the water environment. So we have issue of salt concentration, and we also have issue of temperature. Some water bodies, or we know that generally water bodies have. So we also have issue of salt concentration and issue of temperature problem. How do these organisms obtain their oxygen? How do they obtain enough heat inside the water? And then how do they work around the issue of too much salt in the water bodies? There are features that these organisms have developed that enable them to survive all these conditions, and that is why they can survive in water bodies. But we human beings that have been adapted to land environment cannot survive in water environment because we don't have these features that allow these organisms to survive these conditions. Now, what are those features? In fish, for an example, in fish we have what you call gill. In fish we have gill, and this gill helps them to take dissolved oxygen. Even though there is no air inside water, in the water bodies we still have what you call dissolved oxygen. The air that is trapped by water is always dissolved, and it is always in form of a soluble oxygen inside the water. So these organisms in the water, they have a way of absorbing the dissolved oxygen in the water, and then they will make use of it. For fish, they use what we call gill. Gill is a special organ near the neck of a fish that helps it to take dissolved oxygen in the water and make use of it. So they don't take air the way we do, but they can get the oxygen in that is dissolved in water and make use of it. So this is a feature, or the adaptative feature, that allows some aquatic organisms to obtain oxygen. Some other aquatic organisms, their skin can absorb oxygen directly from the water. Their skin is equipped in such a way that it can absorb the dissolved oxygen in water, and they will make use of it. So these are the various ways that aquatic organisms obtain their oxygen. Now, salt concentration. Aquatic organisms, most of them have specialized kidney. This their kidney help them to regulate the water contents in their body. What salt does in the body is that through a process we call osmosis. In osmosis, if the salt concentration in a certain part of the body or in a cell is too much, water will be coming inside the cell. And if the salt concentration outside the cell is more, water will be moving out from the body to the environment. So, and this will create a problem for the cell. In order to avoid this problem, to maintain constant body amount of salt, these organisms they have special, so they developed special kidney that allow them to regulate the amount of salt by regulating the amount of water that they have inside their body. If they find themselves in an area where the salt concentration is too much, they will excrete less urine. You know, the more you pass out urine from your body, the more you pass out water. So when they retain water in their body, they will help them to dilute excess salts in their body. So that is what that specialized kidney does for them. It helps them to keep excess water so that if the salt concentration in their body is too much, then the excess water will dilute it and it will not be enough, or it will not be too concentrated or too strong to affect their body. If they find themselves in fresh water where the salt concentration is too low, then they will be excreting much urine. By passing out much water, then the small salt in their body will be concentrated and be enough for them to use for their normal body reactions. So this is how these organisms regulate their salt contents or survive under extreme salt concentration. Now for temperature, we know that fish they have scale, other ones they have special fur or feather that help them to regulate temperature. When the temperature is too cold, their scale will be positioned in such a way that their body will be totally covered and it will be able to generate heat from their inside their body. So this is how these organisms also survive extreme cold weather or extreme cold environment inside the water bodies. They use their scale and their fur and other specialized skin parts to regulate their body temperature. When the body when the temperature in the water body is too cold, these scale and other skin features will be positioned in such a way that it will be able to cover the body of this organism very well, and then they will start generating heat from inside their body. So that is how these organisms survive these extreme conditions inside water. I hope that this lesson is very clear. Thank you.